Phenomena. Phenomena. Phenomena.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of most ages, welcome back to another fine episode of
Don't Be So Brewed.
Alright.
Those crack hard.
2 bottles and a can. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Gentlemen,
Let's get these
gentlemen.
in our new swag glasses.
Yeah,
here.
let's get these in these new. Who made these glasses for us? They're really nice.
Man,
We should get them as sponsors.
Our sponsor, Etches.
Oh, I love those guys. They
We
take
happen to
really
know
good care of
those
us.
guys. Did these awesome pint glasses. We're going to have these available online. We got these pint glasses, and we got some t-shirts made up. Yeah, dude, that looks pimp. Man,
Those look
I
great.
got to get a picture of that.
I don't know if you remember Independence Brewing Co. I decided to go try out another
got
one of
another
their
one.
beers.
Oh,
So
is
we've got
it?
the Native Texan Pilsner.
Hey, let me see your beer, your girl beer there with the...
Bro,
Little mid-podcast photo shoot.
Yeah, if you're on
don't
Facebook...
don't
here,
mind
you know
us,
what I mean?
guys. It's fine.
It's all branding, people. This
That's
is
right.
how it works.
So listen, while Scott's doing that, let's obviously welcome everyone back,
Easy
the Brew
legs.
Crew. Thank you guys for
All right.
joining us.
Take your girl beer.
Bruisers. If that's
Brew,
if you must.
you know, for those of you who don't know, Dr. A, our first returning guest, is back with us.
He
Jason,
is. Welcome
thank you
back.
for coming to join us.
Thanks. I heard that my first one was barely downloaded, so we wanted to try it again.
We just figured there was just a flaw with the internet, you know.
Yeah,
Clearly.
we figured we could do better. You know, that's always the goal for us. Can we do a little better than last time?
Zool, I think, actually muted most of my responses. I think that was a part cause.
Welcome to the club, man. He does it to me too.
He meant to do it to Scott, but it was you by accident,
No
actually. I
Hulk
think
smashing
that's-
going on here.
Yeah,
Hulk
no
smash.
Hulk smashing
No
going
Thin
on
Mint
here.
discussions and
Oh, we forgot Thin Mints.
Junior
First
Mints.
one.
Junior
Junior
Mints.
Mints. God, we keep forgetting to do that.
Stop it, Junior. And we got here early today too.
See,
There was plenty
we gotta
of
get
time.
it together. Gotta get it together.
There's a gas station on the corner. We could do this.
We could do this,
We can
but we
do this.
Can we
just
Uber Eats
continue.
Junior Mints?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, we can do whatever we want. That's kind of how this works.
That's what happens in the podcast world. Joe Rogan set that standard.
I mean,
That's
yeah,
it.
you just kind of do what you want. Like, hey, you got to get up and take a piss in the middle of this thing. Like, you just do what you got to
We're just
do,
gonna
right?
Go and we're gonna make this happen.
Smoke a little blunt and destroy your top secret clearance.
With Elon Musk.
Right, there you go.
That's right.
One of these days, you know.
No longer top secret.
I mean, it isn't. So this week, good news.
What
We
we
jumped
got?
up 4 spots. We are the 255th most popular podcast in the world.
Round of
Listen, guys, it's
applause.
just statistics. You guys know that we love statistics around here. Scott and I check in all the time.
I love the
Facebook
facts.
will give me statistics. I'll share them with him. We just like to see how many, eyeballs are getting on this. What's going on? Whatever we're doing is working.
Our
I don't know
sponsors-
why
our
or how.
sponsors care.
Yes, they do.
Will you be the best new podcast next year?
That's debatable, but
I
probably.
mean, is there a best first year complete podcast ranking?
Well, so what we were going to do is have an award ceremony, but
For
because we know a
ourselves.
guy who can make it, but it's just for ourselves, and we'll just continue. We can win it consecutively every year.
So you guys are going to run this, and then
I
you're
like
gonna invite over
Dallas
all the top new
podcast.
podcasts in the world at
Yes.
that point in time.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we might be best old podcast next year.
Best real old podcast.
Yeah, back in my day, Scott would say.
When we started our podcast, let me tell you how things went.
Oh
When
man.
we started our podcast 21
Oh, Gilbert, thanks
episodes
for
ago.
stopping by the show.
Well, so I'll tell you what Scott told me when we were on our way over here is Scott has a little bit of a day buzz going on right now.
Sunday fun day, huh?
Sunday fun day.
What happened?
Started
You
out
went
with what I shall call brunch.
we started out with a car show, but apparently it wasn't very
It was
good.
a horrible deal. So
The fallback plan is mimosas.
no, man, we went out to support a friend of ours. We helped
Way
him out
too
with some
manly for
trophies
that.
and stuff. And
Ooh.
we got out there. It was out past Euless.
Okay.
So these are like good friends, So we got out there about a half hour before the show started. It was a little light. Usually good car shows, like kind of packing up, and they had 4 or 5 cars there by the time like show start happened. We hung out about another 45 minutes, and
Right.
while we were hanging out, there was a nice little Mexican restaurant, Dos Equis Amber on tap.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever had it on tap.
Dos Equis
before.
Amber's
I
good.
don't think I have
It's
either.
really good. So 32 ounces of that to get the day started.
Yeah, I've never had it on draft like that though.
It's good for breakfast.
Apparently.
I was expecting you to say some virgin margaritas to start working your way in.
No, I did
A
that.
little-
We
A
hung
virgin
out a while.
packery, just kind of
Dude, I
dipping
gotta
his
tell
toe
you,
in.
man, this is amazing.
His hot chocolate coffee.
So they had these. Had we sponsored, we could have like put up a booth and all that. Anyway, there were these guys there, and it was like a beard club. Okay, like have you ever heard of this?
Yeah,
It was like a national facial hair league.
Yeah.
yeah, like the guys that get the curly stash.
For,
going
oh,
on.
yeah.
All kinds.
Like 4 or 5 different ones.
I
that
had
curls
no
into a
idea.
curl.
This was like the most fascinating thing. I mean, this one dude, his beard was down his junk. I mean,
So he could basically
this-
just sit there with
that
nothing
stuff
and be
touched at
covered.
some point. I mean, there's no way you go in the shower and that's not tickling.
He's not-
you know what I mean?
he's
It's
not
like-
No,
Right.
you get it wet and you throw it up and over the shoulder.
Not braiding
Dude,
two
I don't
areas
know,
together
man.
on
I mean,
accident.
when it gets wet, does it get longer? I mean, I'm not sure what happens.
I don't know. Is that the
Not for
rule?
you, I mean,
Is that the rule?
I missed that one.
facial-
When it
hair?
gets wet, does it get longer?
Yeah,
yeah.
it totally does.
I thought that was science.
It's
fact.
science.
Yeah, but we love to talk
it's
about
also-
scientific
We'll
facts
find that on the
around
same
here.
page.
But it's also a rumor.
Statistics on it.
Exactly. Where we get our statistics is also where we get our scientific facts.
But yeah, these guys.
It's a page
had,
next to Wikipedia. Mm-hmm. Okay.
real big in this beard club, and this wasn't like the beard club for men. I mean, they
Oh,
had
is the
something
beard club for
everyone.
women?
So there is one
was
out there that
unbelievable.
a good friend of mine, an
were
old
showing me
workout partner of
websites.
mine, and I were in, and it's all internet included.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have local chapters, but it's like bearded villains or something. And you have to be invited to it. So like you have to tag them or
So this is like a motorcycle club for beards?
But
Yes.
yes.
I mean, this guy had a vest and he had beard patches on one
tattoos
side
and
he
flags
had
and yeah,
motorcycle patches on the other.
yeah.
I mean, he was showing me pictures. Like, this is a picture of me when I was going nautical. You know, when they don't have the... I was like, oh, my God. You know? This is... I can't make this up. I mean,
Does he
how
turn
would I say nautical,
starboard
right?
and port?
We need to bring Daniel Cahill on here. He probably knows everything about this. We would probably
He's
give
got no
us every...
facial hair. I don't think he's...
No, but
I don't
he
think
knows
he's even
everything
grown
He
Wow.
shaved
about
a
hair.
week before you saw him when you thought he shaved like earlier.
It doesn't mean that he has to have that. It's, Sasquatch probably has these groups too. So, of course, he would have to have
Sasquatch
some...
has these problems.
But that's a Southwestern regional identification for the Yeti.
Sorry,
So,
yeah. Abominable Snowman, the Squatch, whatever you want to call
the
him.
Squatch.
The Squatch, man.
Get under that bar and do some squatch.
Squatch. Overhead squatch.
That's right. Hey, so I want to play a fun game here since we have Jason, who we
game.
know is a longtime listener. I want to talk about some things that you can do while listening to the Don't Be So Brewed podcast.
Oh man, I've got to. It starts with that,
You
right?
can take
Zool?
a shit listening to the Don't Be So Brewed podcast,
I mean, it's
according
long
to Zool.
enough. It's long enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you'd be good to go. Play a couple games on your phone, listen to the podcast. You'd be good
little,
to go. You'd
little
be all
Flappy
caught up.
Bird.
You could drive. You could
podcast
drive
go
to work.
Yeah.
You could drive home from work.
Anytime
You
you're
could
in the
listen
car.
at work.
Anytime you're in the car.
I mean, this is pretty.
I do that a
universal.
lot, driving from one
Somebody
office
told me
to
they
another.
listen to it while they go on their morning run.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We have a couple, I think, that listens to us when they go to dinner on Wednesdays.
Yep. We do have,
They
have a couple
literally
of couples.
they just pull it up on their phone and they watch together while they have dinner.
Where are they
so they have
going
dinner with
to
us.
dinner?
Probably all of them.
And where everyone's family together then?
Or
Yeah.
Applebee's. I mean,
Come on, dude.
somewhere fancy, man. You know.
Free breadsticks.
But
come
you
on,
turn
man.
on your portable Bluetooth speaker, set it in the back of the table.
Well, so you get like
crank
an
it
AirPod.
up nice and good.
You get like an AirPod. I get one. You get one, and then we
man.
both listen.
That's
Or
love
you
when
just
you're
make
sharing
sure-
your AirPods.
Then we don't
Or
disturb
you just
anyone.
make sure everybody listens.
Commingling
Except when they
AirPods.
start laughing randomly at our
See,
jokes.
See, you guys don't want that though, because you want the downloads. You don't want table 47 and 48 over here, and
I don't care. I just
Table
want 'em-
50.
we just want people to listen.
Yeah,
and
we
have a
want
good
them to
time.
see it and then go download
they
it.
show
That's
up
the
back up every
purpose.
Wednesday, and they're like, "I hope that cute couple's there, still listening to their podcast."
Listen, we always say whenever couples can't decide what to listen to on a road trip,
They
you should
listen
listen
to
to Don't
us.
Be So Brewed.
That's exactly
That's right. You have what 21 hours now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is our 21st episode.
Our podcast is old enough to drink. Congratulations.
I started getting tally
Cheers
marks on
to
my
that.
on my rear end
Maybe you'll
every
avoid
time I
here
hear
next
one.
time.
Don't clink them, just drink them.
That's right. What else can we do?
Says our
I
sound
listen to
man.
podcasts whenever I do yard work. So whenever I'm
Really?
mowing the yard, doing anything like that, I'll just throw a podcast in, and that kind of takes my mind off of what I'm having to put up with.
Most of the time is I'm driving. I mean, that's the only time I have time.
Believe it or not, I do work out, and when I do,
That's another time.
I do
I listen
throw.
to the podcast over there.
There's one or two podcasts that I'm willing to listen to because I know that there's just very few other places I want to do it. Like
I don't lift often, but when I do, it's to the Don't Be So Brewed podcast.
It's really hard to psych yourself up for a good Squatch session.
For a Squatch session? I feel like that's a
Listen to
t-shirt.
this,
We're
it's
trademarking that right now. Nobody take that. A
Copyright
Squatch
moment.
session.
Squatch session.
Squatch
Oh
this.
my gosh, we're
You know how many of those shirts we could sell to Daniel
we
Cahill?
put
Let's find
all of
Sasquatch
them.
Let's find out.
we put
Dude,
Sasquatch
all the shirts.
under a bar of like 450 mid Squatch.
Good to go. Dude, I'm telling you. So I just had this idea.
Okay.
Maybe we
Lay
get
it on
Jason
me.
to come with us. So we know that all Cahill is speaking. By the way, if you guys didn't know that, our guest on a couple episodes ago is like the Squatch King and knows everything about him and is actually speaking at the conference
Squatch.
that's coming up.
Birmingham.
Birmingham.
I believe that's what he said.
So we should travel there. You should make some shirts. We could have a live podcast and we could sell a bunch of merch to
Don't Be
these
So Brewed
Squatchers.
Squatch session.
Yep. Literally, it's just Squatch Session on the front, and then on the back, it's just we put a little plug in there. Don't be so brewed. Make sure
Grab
they
the
don't
bar,
miss
we're
that.
squatching.
So we'll put our logo in the tramp stamp location.
Yes, perfect.
That's
where everyone's
That's where-
looking anyway.
That's,
I got it, I
That's
got
where
it.
That's where you want corn dogs crossing is right
It'll
over
be-
top of that tramp stamp.
It'll be a totally hairy chest with Squatch Session.
You can't
shaped
cross
out.
the streams there.
Can't cross streams. Ray, you never
doing that
cross the
there.
streams.
I feel
No,
like we
no.
should make a logo with
Ray
Squatches
never
instead of
crosses.
us. We should just redo the logo and it's two Sasquatches.
It's your guys'
Probably-
faces
yeah,
on a
yeah.
Squatch body.
There you go.
Like long arms.
Kind of like normal.
So basically like me already.
Like
Like
you take it. You
normal.
start with a good Dr. B. Just make it a bit more hairy. Maybe shave its back slightly.
For anyone watching, for anyone,
Instead of Rogue, it'll just
for
say
anyone
Squatch.
watching on YouTube. I
So
get that.
so there's an old
Getting
clothing
pumped.
brand. Everybody's familiar with the North Face, right?
Yeah.
You remember when the clothing brand the South Butt came out, or
Yes.
yeah, and they got sued
Oh, I didn't
by
know
North
that.
Face.
Really?
Yeah, because all they did was flip the logo to the bottom instead of doing it from the top. They flipped the logo. This 14-year-old kid, 15-year-old kid did it. Started printing his own T-shirts. Ended up getting sued by North Face. Wins. And became a legit clothing line for a few years until he went to college and used all that money.
Then he became Patagonia.
Right, probably.
I don't know.
Then he just shifted
I
and was
think
like,
Patagonia is pre-North Face, right? Like that's just different regional.
I know some people that are pretty staunch about their, no, I'm all about Patagonia. That's all I do.
Oh,
and other people that are like
Patagonia.
North Face people. I didn't know before anything when I married my wife. They're a North Face family.
I'm just
So
grateful to have clothing.
shut your mouth.
I'm just here
Says
so I
the
don't
guy
get
over
fined.
here. We're talking, and he's like, "Oh, whenever I don't want to do something, I'm too manly for that, so I just pay someone."
Yeah, that's what real men do. We don't do things we don't want to do.
Okay, so that brings up a question that I was
Tell
going to
him,
ask.
Zool. Tell him.
Jason will at least be able to answer this. So this weekend, yesterday, I was helping my in-laws do some yard work.
Yard working.
They're a little older, and so they were like, "Hey, we're getting to the age where we don't want to have to do this all the time. Can you
Right.
come over and help us?" This was their words, not mine. Don't take this out of context.
How old is older?
60s and 70s.
They're capable.
Old enough to have married children.
Capable, says the guy over here that's in his 40s, lazy ass that just pays someone else to do it, but they're capable.
Hey, they're smart.
pay
They're
someone.
smarter than me. They got some sucker coming over for free to do their stuff.
No, they pay
I'm
me.
in my 30s. I pay somebody.
Do they? So they're doing it.
My lawn equipment is still in storage from when we moved over here, so I just instead of buying it or bringing it out, I just paid a kid.
100% get that. So basically the question is,
My lawn equipment is.
I drink while they cut it.
what's the
Listen to the
one
podcast.
chore or task that you just despise doing? So Scott was talking like there's in-house, there's out-of-house, there's other stuff like that. There's maintenance things for anything, but like what's the thing that you're just like you'd loathe doing it?
Plumbing. If I have to clean P-traps, if I have to get underneath the sink,
Okay, cleaning
If
P-traps
I
is
have
a
to-
different story. That's disgusting.
if I have to get behind the toilet to fix a leak there, something. Anytime it happens, look, I'm not 135 pounds. It's not a secret.
It ain't gonna happen.
They don't build bathrooms the way they used to either. Like the toilet is right next to a wall. Like you can't even put a TP holder on it anymore without smacking it off in the middle, right? Like
Well, that's like
So you
trying
got to
to
get it
change the
behind that
out.
sink. You got to get it behind there and throw a wrench up on there. Now they're going to plastic fittings for everything. If you're going to put the braided hose on there, it's got a plastic fitting. It's got a plastic fitting coming down from the tank. I'm going to break it. I'm going to use way too much force.
Mongo.
All of your Squatch.
I was about to say,
Hulk smash.
you're not the only one. I always
Squatch
end up doing
strain.
that too, and I'm like, oh, great. I have a history of breaking things by accident like that.
Yes.
So what's yours?
Mine would definitely have to be cleaning the gutters. Cleaning the gutters is just that thing. Like for me, I'm an efficiency nerd. We talk about this all the time. With like that's part of why Scott and I get along
got
is
your
with
efficiency
business.
for that.
Yeah, is it's
I got it. So we had Terminex on our last house. They actually came out and put the foam in our gutters. So all I had to do was, if there hadn't been rain for a little while, go up there with my blower, just blow them all off because they can't get in there. The foam it sits on top. It fills basically the entire gutter up, so water still goes through, runs down.
interesting. I've never heard of this.
It filled it with just basically a foam block, like the sneeze guard up here.
I know you can get like the grates that go across, which I'm always interested of. Like why no
I've
one
got the
ever
grates.
goes for those because it kind of will
I
take
got
the
the
majority.
grates. Everything gets stuck in them.
Really?
Yes.
So it's not even worth it.
Gimmick.
So see
You
last.
need the one where it's flat, like gutter guard, I think is what they call it.
Leaf guard.
Leaf guard.
Yeah.
Where it's flat. But again, if it's wet and it's flat, it'll travel and it will jam stuff in there.
Okay.
So this one's not bad. Like, but
That's why nets catch fish.
Touche.
accurate. Acorn stuck in the hole.
But the type of cleaning out I'm talking about is like it's so bogged down in there, like nothing just like coming in. Like it's
yeah,
essentially
that's
you have like some good mulch in there that you could throw in anything.
I paid a guy to put that foam in there, so I didn't have to do that.
There you go.
Paid a guy.
Why you drink beer?
Well, I was probably at work because it was probably like at 2:00 on a Tuesday, but I was thinking about drinking beer, Zool. I was thinking about
It's
drinking
like,
beer.
I was thinking about it. I wasn't doing it, but I
There
was
was a
thinking
whole
about
lot
it.
of intent going
I
on.
just don't like doing chores. Like if I've got to do something that's not
This
what I
guy.
want to
Mr.
do, I just
Mr.
don't like it.
Entrepreneur is just going to put more effort, and I commend you for this. He's going to put more effort into his businesses.
Yep.
You know, right? The guy's got multiple
So
jobs.
what's the
working
chore
on
at
it.
work then? Because work requires way more stuff. So what's the thing at work then that you're just like, I
I
hate
bet they
having to
make
do
you
that.
clean the bathroom
I hate
there.
picking up after other people.
What do you mean after other people? There's you and one other person. So I think that other people know who you're talking about.
Just in general. I mean, who likes picking up after other people?
Do people have to pick up after you? Because it sounds like it. Because you're
Probably.
the one that doesn't
I
clean
mean-
inside your
I
house.
mean, I am all about double standards, you know.
Right?
I'm just saying it bothers me. I'm not saying that it might not bother other people too.
So
He's like, I hate that shit. Hey, can you clean that up for
Right?
me? Thanks.
I
See you
mean-
later.
traditional
Yeah.
gender roles was a thing. It wasn't faux pas, I guess, when my wife and I got married 12 years ago. It was actually discussed married on wedding day. Like, I will take every bag of trash ever out if I never have to do laundry again.
So
And that's our agreement is I do the dishes and she does laundry because I did so much laundry
so
when I
cut
lived.
a deal pretty early on.
Yeah.
So the deal was she'd take care of the inside, I'd take care of the outside.
And then you pay someone
And then
to
you
do
I
the
outside.
hired a
outside.
guy,
You hire
she didn't,
somebody.
and then I
Yeah.
got sucked in. I was like, really? Like I thought I had my deal cut. Don't do that again? Yeah, okay.
Small print.
Yes. Terms and conditions may apply.
That's like when you...
Don't you guys have waivers?
No, it's like when you write a job description and you got all these nice things laid out and anything else we might ask you to do, right?
And any
To
other
not to exclude other things.
thing. Not to exclude that.
I mean,
Some
I see all those
podcasting may
descriptions.
vary.
I mean, you see all those job descriptions, right? And it's like, must be able to lift at least 50 pounds. I mean, you ever been on an interview where they're like, all right,
Go pick that up.
Squat. I want to see you squatch.
I want to see you scratch that right off the
I
ground.
need to see you deadlift
So
It is true. Like you need to be able to do this. Do they ever prove that? Like half
there's
those guys
people
out
in
there
my
have like
office that
the
probably can't
industrial
lift
strength
50 pounds.
back
I mean,
braces.
you know.
well, not only that, but becomes a gender role there too. They're like, hey, Brandon, you're a big, strong guy. Go get that ream of paper, that box of paper for us, and bring it out here. They didn't ask Tammy to go get it.
Nope.
95 pounds.
Oh, hey,
And I
Tammy.
am always that person. Pick this thing up. Break this
Tammy,
thing.
go take
Put
care
this.
of that.
Put this up on this high
You
shelf.
Sign the job description. I don't know what
Bring
to
this
tell
down
you.
from this high shelf. Yeah, I've always been that person.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Just because you squatch a lot.
Listen, I can't help it. I love a good squatch.
I can't help it. I just watch it.
I work out.
I get paid.
All right, guys, what do y'all got going on for 4th of July coming up? By the time this comes out, it'll be tomorrow, but
That's right. What do we got going on tomorrow?
future
I'm
casting here.
I'm probably leaving right now and on the road.
But we're on a
back to
podcast.
Louisiana, right?
I know.
But
what
it'll
I'm
be
doing.
tomorrow.
Oh, gotcha.
4th of July.
When I'm listening to this as an upload.
I mean, I'll
Download.
be listening to this for the probably 3rd or 4th time.
But no, the 4th of July will be tomorrow, but you'll be doing it the
On
day
the
before,
3rd,
right?
Yeah, on the 3rd, I
So
will
then
be.
future
right
tense, yeah. So you're talking to yourself as you're sitting in the car
Right.
listening to yourself.
Jason, be safe on that drive that you're currently doing.
Beth,
This one's for you, baby.
this one's... Try to come up with something clever. Scott got it for me.
End this podcast right now and turn on, like, Nelly and just start jamming out.
Yes. Just do it.
That would be some good background music.
Right? It's a 4-hour drive.
It's
You get the
getting
suit and
hot
sweat.
in here.
Oh, yeah, you can go way
I
back.
was about to say,
All
Super
right, I'll
Sweat
turn
is
down
the
the air
solid.
conditioner. Chill out.
Listen to some
Chill
Kelly
out.
Rowlands and Nelly breaking it down.
So I'm going to be in the car, too. We're going to be driving to Tulsa to hang out with my family up there.
Insert
Go ahead,
Oklahoma joke.
Make some
Just
comment
let
about
me know if
Oklahoma.
you see Bigfoot. That's all. Just get pictures, okay?
Listen, I'll try to find the Squatch. Squatch hunt. If anyone in the brew crew has
2019.
pictures of Sasquatch, send them to us.
Sasquatch is anywhere. He's,
If
in,
you're
he's in Oklahoma.
Squatch, if you're listening, we're coming for you. If he's anywhere, he's in Oklahoma. Why?
Where else would he be?
You know,
Anywhere else?
No.
you asked that in the Cahill episode, like, could he be listening to this? And I'm like, of course he's got to. He's got to have entertainment at this point, right? Like, everything's Wi-Fi.
Gotta have YouTube.
I mean, I'm sure
Well, he knows about.
I'm sure
the
he has
best
a
new
ham
podcast
radio.
of 2019.
I'm sure he has a ham radio and somebody's playing it over, like, channel 29.7, right?
Am I the only one that hears the word ham radio? And I'm just like, I think about like a radio that you can eat.
Yes. You are the only one.
You should try one.
It's a spiral cut radio.
Yeah, it's delicious. It's a honey baked radio.
It's even better smoked.
Oh.
It just sounds delicious. Okay, I feel like I pull a Homer Simpson.
Lick it. I bet it's shocking.
You know, so as we ask like all these like crazy questions, I kind of like take a step back from life and just constantly think, you know, is this a normal thing, right?
Uh oh, Scott's pondering.
So
Prepare yourself.
here's my question: like, do you have a routine like when you get in the shower in the morning? Like, are you like turn the water on, run out, and like, do you have like a
Then you set
way
up your
you
towels.
step in?
and-
You know, you kind of like easing in. Is there a method?
Well, I don't shower in the morning. I shower at night. But yes, there is a method because I ain't getting in while the water's cold.
Okay.
For sure.
Unless I'm going in for that purpose of like, hey,
Like
I'm taking a
do
cold
you,
shower.
Do you get it to the right temp and just go for it? Do you kind of like bring it a little warm and then up it as you're in there?
Well,
and
so I
then-
got to walk in there. I've got to have my towel within reach whenever I'm going to get out. That way I can get that thing out and I
Yeah.
get water everywhere. I got to turn the water on and just let it run first before you kick in the shower part.
So do you
let
like,
that get to
try
the
not
right
to
temperature.
get wet before you?
But I'm not worried about the shower when I turn mine on. It's
'Cause he's got the
it's
long
bottom
arms.
faucet.
Okay.
Yeah, first. If you're fancy and uppity and you just turn straight to shower.
Yeah, let me just
Because
yeah,
you pay
let's
for
just talk
everything. I
about
mean, I
that,
get
you
it.
know?
Yeah. It's
My
fine.
walk-in car wash shower.
It's fine.
Elephant shower, you know.
Yeah. Elephant shower. I mean, hey, there's another thing. There's another thing we could do with an elephant. You bring the kids out. The elephant
Hey.
sprays water everywhere. It's another thing. We got a whole nother thing with the elephant.
Now it's
that I
basically a
really just
Flintstones
sidebarred.
episode.
Yeah, I really sidebarred that one.
You did.
No, so I wait till the temperature. If I had your setup, I would wait till the temperature was right. Like you kind of feel, and then
Right.
like you
You're
go
really
in.
intimately familiar with his master bath?
Maybe.
He's visualizing.
I'm just guessing at this point. You know, with his fancy and his rich and his I don't do chores and his manly as Scott makes himself sound, we have to be able to visually understand what that looks like.
Anyone who's got servants
like
who
a locker
brings
room.
him basically hot chocolate
Yes.
probably has a car wash shower.
Yeah. It's chocolate milk and coffee.
It's the closest thing to chocolate milk out there.
It's chocolate milk and coffee, okay?
It is.
Does Gilbert suggest this to you?
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
He knows what's up.
Where is he? You've been drinking. He's not here.
I don't know what to tell you.
Y'all are gonna get crazy later.
That's right.
See, we can try, but it's just not as good.
It's
you just can't.
not. It's definitely not.
It's not.
I'm just
These are
waiting
some
on
fine.
it. I'm
These are
just
some
waiting
fine
on it.
Pilsner glasses. I do enjoy them. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like how I didn't even get Dr. B and you got Dr. A. I'm kind of jealous.
I mean, you are a doctor, right?
True. I did just say that to someone who we just met when we were coming in here before we recorded the podcast.
Durr.
I met someone and she's like, well, getting my husband to see doctors is like almost impossible. I'm like, good. I'm not even a real doctor anyway. You just steer into the skid at this point. I'm like, I don't even worry about it. She kind of got that look like, I'm not sure if I'm comforted by that or I don't know how to feel about that. What about
this truth in marketing thing?
Yeah. How about you? Shower routine or?
Yeah, well, so I'm a guy who cranks it all the way up.
Hot?
To the top.
Like
we turn
boiling?
it to 11.
Okay.
Turn it to 11.
Is this a morning shower or a nighttime shower?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm going to go get in after I pretend cut the grass.
So you can't just make 10 hotter. You have to turn it to 11?
Turn it to 11.
After I watched the guy cut the grass, I gotta take a shower.
And I'm like, man, that guy probably sweated a bunch. I should get clean.
I broke a sweat.
I gotta go take a shower.
Broke a sweat drinking this beer, watching this guy mow.
I feel really awkward doing that. Like, I gotta go find something to do. I can't stay around and watch that happen. But anywho, I'm gonna turn it all the way up, step back out, or pull my arm back out, grab the towel, set the towel up where I want it to be. By the time I see it steaming, reach back in, turn it down a quarter, give it a hot second, probably get undressed at that point, and then get ready to get in. Yeah,
just kind of
like you gotta
kind of ease your way in there.
You know?
But
when your back starts itching because it's hitting you hot.
I'm that guy who comes out of the shower red skinned from it being so hot. So like, I'll get back in. I just don't want to have to wait for it when I get in there, right? So I'm gonna dial it back, and then I get in and I start pushing it back up forward.
So this is the most random question. I had no idea we were going to go here, which is why I love this podcast. But then we go into the big internet question that was going around a little while ago on. My first question is, do you have a process once you're in there of like how you go about cleaning yourself, washing your business, and then do you wash your legs? This is like a big debate.
Like if you don't, really?
Yes.
So you called me out on this, and I think I was at your office, and you were like, you don't shave. You
You don't shave your legs.
No, I don't shave my leg. You don't clean your legs.
Don't worry.
I was like,
everyone's going to comment about my white ass
Patty,
legs,
look
so
at
it's
Whitey
fine.
over here.
I easily
Thanks for making me look brown.
always soap at minimum to my knees.
You're welcome.
At minimum to my knees.
Is that just out of necessity? Like you're washing something
Well, I
else,
mean,
and you're like,
like-
well, this is as far as I need to go.
You can reach. I mean, you got to go with what you got.
If you're letting it hang, that's about where it stops. So
Totally makes sense. I get it. I understand that. I still think you should wash your legs.
Scott goes,
I've got a process because like I take a shower first thing in the morning. It's what wakes me up. And if I don't go through the process, I don't know if I actually hit everything I need to hit.
I was about to say, I got a system in place. I got a way that we go about this so that I can make sure I hit everything.
Like I start at the top and I work my way down.
See, I start at the front, I work my way down, and then I do,
So
You do your
those
hair after
those
you
of
do-
you
I
military
don't wash my
members
hair all the time.
that
Really?
No.
those of you military members that may or may
bad for your hair,
well,
Scott.
you would have to be listening to this podcast to know that I'm talking about you.
We're
But
talking about you.
most people in any or every military unit during training was forced to go through shower drills because there's always it just goes back to
Did
school
you get
age.
drilled in the shower?
No, but I was
sounds like you might
drilled
have.
on the shower. So
Isn't that the same thing?
basically,
No.
Could be.
basically what they it's just like school, right? There's always a stinky kid,
Yeah.
Right.
and so the drill sergeants are a lot more allowed to do things than our high school teachers were. So they'd force us to take 4 or 5 in like 7-8 minutes. Like, go in, do your hair, do your pits, do your junk, do your crack, get out. Like,
You got to hit the main areas: hair, pits, junk, crack.
In that
out.
order. Because if you start
Well,
at
you
the
don't
crack
start
and
at-
work
Then
your way
you're going to
up,
spread that out.
definitely don't work your way
you're gonna have
backwards.
shit all over the place.
You have to spread that down, not up.
Well, so that's exactly
That's
it.
how you get pink eye.
And then
Come
you
on now.
and then you had to put a uniform on, fall out into formation. If you missed the time that it was taking, everybody's doing it again. We're gonna get an entire platoon through the shower in
you-
5 minutes.
Do you have
back
to be
in
out and dry
formation.
and dressed?
Oh yeah,
How
and then
in the hell are you
downstairs,
dry and dressed by that point?
and then
You're
downstairs.
not waiting for the water to get hot. You're getting in, you're getting on, and you're getting out.
Yep. You're walking in with your rag and your bar, and you're hitting what needs to be done. You're out in 30
Instead
seconds.
of walking out red, he walks out blue.
I thought you were talking about something else. Got it.
Got it.
Got it.
Got it.
Listen, I'm just,
They'll just hang there for eternity, actually.
Just let it.
maybe not if it's cold.
If they're blue.
I feel like Costanza's
That's not
about
even
to
a
break
real
in the
thing,
door and ask us a question or
medically.
two.
It's shrinkage, Jerry. It's shrinkage.
Don't women know about shrinkage?
Oh, yes. Good old Seinfeld reference. Speaking of, we never even got to get into any of your military stories on the last episode because we just dicked off the whole time, which I can only imagine us doing ever.
Never happened. Yeah, right.
What's the coolest story? I'm sure you have a bunch that you can actually share with us that like, and I've got like a follow up. I'm
I don't want
curious
to
to
hear
know.
your shower story. So it doesn't,
I
skip
started
over
with,
that
could
one.
be.
I started with
They
the
could
best
be.
one.
I
Where do we
started
go
with the
from here,
crack, But it
guys?
wasn't mine.
He's like, I just told the
You
shower
battle-
story. What do you want from me?
You battle buddy up and get those parts taken care of.
I cleaned the crack in the junk, but they weren't mine. I mean, what
Wait, I was to say, you ready for another one?
I got one over here, so I'm good.
Sure. Thank you.
Just do like we were talking about. This is a brief intermission.
So, yeah, intermission. Last
ahead.
time I heard a good intermission here, Zach came back with
You know what?
playing some good music. I will not be following up like that.
Because that's some light chick beer. That's why it's got a lot of head.
Some light chick beer from the guy who likes a mocha latte. I don't want to hear any shit from you.
Dude, it looks like lemonade. What's it taste like?
Tastes like beer. This is like beer for drinking. This is literally what you would take to the lake and drink all day.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know, there are beers for that.
Beers for the lakes.
And if your beer is judged by the manliness of how dark it is, I guess we could say that about coffee too, which tells us exactly where you are when it comes to the scale of coffee.
Actual.
we could do the
I am
coffee
a
the same
I am
Oh.
a, I am a straight
Oh.
black coffee guy.
Me too. Interesting.
Yeah, that's
You'd say that almost makes you manly.
lots of hair on my chest.
Yeah.
I won't.
I just found Sasquatch.
Found him.
Booga, booga.
We solved the problem. We are going to have Sasquatch on
So-
here at some point. Fun story.
Cool story. So I think it was 2009 All-Star game. I actually, one of my side jobs was to work Secret Service detail. I was an Army explosive detection dog trainer. I trained dogs to find bombs for a living. And 2009 All-Star game was in St. Louis. I am a huge St. Louis Cardinals fan. I lived about an hour south of St. Louis at that time. And I got to meet at that point in time, there was 5 living presidents, and I got to meet every one of them. I was in the Bank of America suite.
There's a bomb in the building! Mr. President, come with me!
That wasn't the cool part, though. That actually was nowhere near as cool as the 6th person I met that night. Huh?
Boy George.
Boy George, yes, that's it. No,
They did shower
Do you really
drills.
want to meet me? Okay.
Keep going.
and I just totally lost my train of thought.
Who was the 6th person?
The
Boy-
6th person
Boy George.
that I got to meet was Mr. 3000. He was the first 3000 hit person for the St. Louis Cardinals, and his name just blanked for me. And I'm a big
Bernie Mac. I saw that movie.
wasn't Bernie Mac.
Mac.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
I've seen that movie a number of times.
I can't even remember his name right now to save my life. But his wife came through. Like, they were both in wheelchairs. They were in the late 90s at that point. And she handed me like a stack of cards that all had a signature on it. I was like, oh, he loves the dogs. Like, just want to give you guys these so that way they're there. And so I handed them out, and people were like, who is this guy? And at the time, I can't believe I'm
He's like,
blanking
he's
on his
your
name right
who.
now. Yeah, I knew him then, but I was like, this guy's amazing. Flash forward like 3 years later, we're in Baton Rouge, getting ready to have a hangout party at my house for my birthday, and news comes across ESPN that he had died on the night of my birthday. So kind of killed the mood that night, but we got drunk and we recovered from it.
Just
Like, I
drank
don't
and
know
made
his
it
name
better.
anyway.
We recovered from it.
Slug through it.
Yeah, it's going to.
What a soldier.
Yeah, you're gonna.
I was about to say, he's
Can
probably
you-
looking
Blue
it up.
Rock?
No,
Stan Musial?
Stan Musial, that's who it was.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Stan. So Stan's wife comes by and she's like, "Oh, Stan just loves the dogs." And I was like, so their son was pushing him in the front wheelchair, and he was like, his son asked me, he was like, "Is he gone?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" And like, so I was just kind of like looking at Stan, and he says, "Is he gone?" And I was like, "Who gone?" And they were like, "The president." And we had just come down to player parking area to make sure the motorcade got out and got into the hands of the Missouri troopers to go to the airport. I was like, "Oh yeah, he left like 5 minutes ago. Interstates are probably open anywhere you want to go at this point," which is a big deal. If anybody presidents have been here in Dallas plenty of times, and you know how they close down the interstates.
Yep.
So yeah, that was probably one of the coolest things to me. It was not only that I'd met like the 5 presidents that night, but I actually got to see Stan and his wife and his children like there, who were invites to meet Obama. It was Obama at that time, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Who threw out the sissiest white, like, first pitch ever wearing a White Sox jacket. So now we know who the one White Sox fan is.
There's always one.
There's always one.
And he was president.
I also heard that you were semi-famous and went viral at one point in time. Is this true?
It was old YouTube days, like early YouTubes before you monetize things.
Like MySpace?
Yes. This was 2006, 5, 6 maybe. I think I get random emails all the time now that I have like 57 cents into my YouTube because I had so many views on it, which I don't know what that turns out to be like. I don't
Probably
know.
a couple thousand.
I probably watched it 900 times myself, so. But I just
Sounds about right.
just
That's why he fits in with us really well.
That's exactly right.
This is how you're the best new podcast. You guys just keep it on play.
Yes.
Got it.
Just keep it running. Yep.
Repeat.
Keeps the.
I decided
keeps
to-
the views up.
This was I want to say Val Kilmer Batman days,
Okay.
and I ordered that Batman costume. It came in, not Halloween, nothing like that at all. And I put it. I was living in Korea, and I was living in Busan, Korea. I put it on, and I started running around downtown Busan in a Batman costume, beating up on other military soldiers.
Downtown Busan.
that were
Always good to go downtown.
in Busan.
I mean, you had to drop it for that. Come on now. I know you didn't say that for no reason.
No reason. I would have pronounced it as Busan if I didn't. So yeah, I uploaded this video of
So you're like pre-Bat Dad.
and I'm like pre
Jason.
YouTube like sketch comedy.
See,
This was
he was one of
2005.
the
It was
originators.
weird seeing the guy streaking with the Batman head on.
you
Yeah.
guys.
In
Just
downtown
the
Busan.
You guys
Just
are the
the-
hipsters getting
really
in
weird.
late. I was an OG on it.
See,
There you go.
you should have just kept it going. You got to ride that wave. You were just a one-hit wonder.
No, let's just be
Speaking of
realistic.
that-
Do you still have the costume?
No, and I wouldn't fit in it if I did.
Damn it, let's get the costume.
I'm all down.
Batman.
Batman.
Brandon. I am
We'll
here.
have Batman, Sasquatch, and we'll figure out for the other one on an episode.
And Gilbert.
We got
we
Zool
go.
in the background. The Zool
Yeah.
painting in the background.
Perfect.
We can,
I think
we
this-
can pull this off.
So speaking of that, like.
It's got good young.
Since I am an OG, I'm also an OG with you guys on this, being the second time back on it. If
That's
I
right.
get 5, am I going to get a robe like SNL?
No.
Maybe a 10.
I got an order of egg rolls. That's what
Oh, I love egg roll. Okay, so I got to tell this
I mean,
story.
you got to talk to Scott about that. He's the personalization guy, so he'll have to look up a robe.
Zool, you brought me onto a good military story. So I got an egg roll story. Egg rolls are my favorite food.
Ever.
I could eat my body weight in egg rolls.
Is it mostly because
That's
of their
not
shape,
accurate.
or
No challenges. I cannot eat my body weight in egg rolls.
So are you like,
right now.
is it because of their shape or taste, or
Oh, I love the taste of
they
an egg
just
roll.
fit?
are they the perfect size?
How many
It
bites?
depends on which size. I'm not a spring roll guy. I'm an egg roll guy.
Oh, so you don't like the girthy?
No, I like the girthy.
Oh, okay. So you like a girthier
The
egg
thicker
roll?
the
though.
egg roll, the better.
Gotcha.
taste.
Are you like a
that
meaty
makes a lot of
egg roll,
sense.
Or are you like a veggie egg roll?
I'm a meaty egg roll.
Okay.
There's got to be protein in it, not just coleslaw.
Meaty, girthy egg roll.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So
Now we painted
we've set the
mind
stage.
picture. Yeah.
We've set the stage. Now let's find another stage. So,
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage.
egg
I
roll.
only eat them while I'm showering. Keep going.
Hulk smash. So we used to do this thing in the military. It was a terror mission. It was like a total army and recruiting thing. What basically they do is they bring out
Egg rolls.
Yes, that would have done way better than
They're
this.
like, everybody take out your egg roll.
They bring out people.
Jason's hungry.
They bring out military people that have really cool jobs, and they send them to a location to go to the local high school, colleges, what have you, and basically say like, I'm not just the average army guy that your grandma always told you go be stupid. You go to the army, you get shot at.
I kill people too.
Well, what you did is like they'd have special forces medics in there. They'd have us as dog trainers in there. They'd have people who fly drones that are in there. Things like that. Like just kind of proving that
showing the diversity.
The military is not just the ground soldiers that it used to be.
Yeah.
So what had happened was we went to Milwaukee, and I went to this community college in Milwaukee with it was at that point it was me, it was a recruiter, it was the guy that was playing decoy from us who was a military dog handler from our unit, and then a young guy who was handling the dog that we had brought. So we go in, and we did not do like a demonstration for them. We just went in and talked in some of these classes, brought the dog in, let him meet him, see what we did. And I get the first and only time I ever got this question is lady in the back, I would say right around 30 at this community college. She goes, "What was your best day at war?"
When my dog get hop somebody.
Well, so I had a female dog. I didn't have to deal with that a whole lot, but
Poor dog.
So like I'm like, oh man, that's like a really tough
plenty of egg
question.
rolls.
That's a really this is where egg rolls started coming in. I'm like, I don't know, the day I came home, like whatever.
Every day I didn't get shot.
My buddy that was handling the dog.
question.
He's like, my daughter was born while I was at war, so I got to watch her on FaceTime. All that stuff like that was really big for me. Third kid, he was like, I've never been to war. I've been in the army all of like 6 months, so I have no answer. And I cut him off. I was like, go. I got it. The best day I ever had at war. The day I flew out to one of the forward operating bases, or F.A.F.O, that I got assigned to, the DFAC was on fire. And this is a really tiny FOB. There's probably 25 of us on it. And no trucks had ever made it out there. Everything had been air supply drops or brought in on helicopters. And so our DFAC's literally on fire. My helicopter lands. I get off on it. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I know. So I get off of the helicopter.
I didn't say a word.
I didn't either.
It's because he doesn't know what he's going to eat out of. So
I ESP'd you.
You two have ESPN. You don't have ESPN.
True.
So I get off. I'm like, I don't know. How do I help? They're like, I think we have it under control. Just go to your room.
I think I have it under control. You're like, your shit's on fire.
Shit's on fire. So we go several weeks. We have no food to cook. Like basically, we end up eating MREs for the first week. Second week, we end up finding a way to buy food from the locals. We're eating footbread and we're eating rice and lamb and all this stuff. Good until I get dysentery from it, which was the worst day at war. Woo! Been shot before, and the worst day at war was the day I had dysentery. Mind you,
That tells you a lot.
So one day, me and a psychology guy that was on the team there, like basically they're the marketing people for military marketing. They go out and they put radio broadcasts out talking about good things that we're doing in the community, like donating rice and beans and stuff to all these locations. So yeah, they're all total propaganda people for it. But all they're competing with is like ISIS that's doing the same thing, right? So we had fighting fire with fire there. So he and I were like, man, we haven't done anything for a while around here. Like we built a soccer field one day. Like we just got a tractor around in it. I find a ball of keys. And for those of you looking at me, I'm holding my hands like a 12-inch softball. Like it's a ball of keys. I'm like, let's start finding out where all these keys go. And so I start walking around. We find a Connex, like a refrigerator Connex, and I find the lock for it. I'm like, holy crap. And without going through 9,000 keys, I find the key that walks in there. And it's cold and it feels great. I'm like, this is now our new hideout. Like we're just going to hang out in here. And we start tearing through boxes, and we're like, oh, this is all the food that was for the DFAC that we lost. Dining facility, if you didn't know what DFAC was, for the record.
Yeah, because we don't.
Dining facility. The dining facility was on fire. So it's all the food for the dining facility, and we go in there and we're tearing through it, and I find a 48 by 48 inch pallet that's of egg rolls, of boxes of egg rolls.
And he said, "What the fact?
These are mine."
And I did. Like, I was like, how do we hide these? Like, I took the key. I didn't give it back to anybody. I took a box. I went back to my room. I stuck them underneath everything in my refrigerator.
Waited for them to come to temperature.
At 3 in the morning, I
Heated them up with his body.
No. At 3 in the morning, or when I had to do a watch, was the only time that I would get up and I would go to the microwave to cook them. And I cook like 10, 12, put them in Tupperware bowls, bring them back, and hide them again. Oh yeah, I was a real fucker.
Did you ever get busted?
No.
You ate that whole pallet.
I don't think I got anywhere near that whole pallet, but I definitely made a dent in that pallet.
That makes me think of it. There's a TV show called Last Man on Earth, I think it is,
Yeah.
and one of it's always a group and they're getting into some situation. Something happens. Well, they find this house and they find this guy that was in there and it has electricity. Well, come to find out,
that
he
big old
finds
mansion.
another house. Yeah, there was another mansion that he finds that somebody was living in, and it had electricity. And he finds a freezer full of bacon. And so every day he's been like leaving and then coming back, and they're like, "What have you been doing?" And his buddy like sneaks up on him, and he's like cooking bacon and eating it.
Is that the
like,
guy they blast with the shotgun at the beginning?
He's like, "I didn't want to let anyone know." He's like, "I felt so bad," and then they've only got like one pack left, and they're like,
"Oh, I ate the heck out of those egg rolls for a while." Yeah, it was.
And you're not sick of egg rolls. You still like them.
Oh, I love egg rolls. So my wife used to have somebody who did her nails, and Mai would go down to. Mai would go. She's Vietnamese. She would go back to
egg roll reference. Continue.
She would for my birthday or Christmas. She would always make me egg rolls. Vietnamese egg rolls.
Those are probably legit.
They were very legit.
You're like, honey,
please
don't come on a pallet. Not interested.
Yes, I don't need like frozen, shipped across the ocean, stuck in a refrigerator Connex in the middle of a desert. No, I didn't need that.
That's pretty exotic, though.
Right?
It is.
Where else?
I mean, technically, I was in Asia, though.
Yeah.
I mean, in all fairness, I was on the same continent as where egg rolls come from, right?
In theory.
Not getting
Are egg rolls Americanized Chinese food, or is it?
Well, I would imagine
authentic
frozen ones
crap?
are like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, definitely frozen.
I would imagine the
Probably.
frozen kind are. Like, what Mai made for me were not frozen, and they were awesome. Like, she was like, all you have to do is go home and fry them and this and that. And I was like, got it.
Yes, ma'am.
Game on.
Within a day, they were gone.
That's like, are you coming back for me?
What happened to all those? They're gone.
They're gone. Oh, yeah.
What's the biggest misconception that people have about the military? Like, what's something that people just don't understand, or that's kind of glamorized maybe in the movies or something like that?
Oh, one, I would first say that like most military branches don't have an issue with another one. We may be jealous of them or something like that. Like,
Because yeah,
yeah, I mean, everybody kind of had every military branch is set up for a completely different expectation, right? Like, Marines are meant for invasion. Like, that's their purpose. They're not meant for long-term standing. The Army is. The Air Force comes in somewhere afterwards, sets up logistics routes, sets up transportation, all that stuff. And the Navy very clearly hangs out on boats and fishes all day. So
we have no issues amongst each other. It's fine.
they just
It's totally fine.
All stabs.
Lazy asses.
yeah. So there's really a lot less
Hey,
hate out there,
don't listen to him.
and I think that that's one of the things is most people believe that my brother was a Marine, you probably don't like Marines, right? Like, no, they're cute, but
I shower with them all the time.
only in shower
It's
drills.
quick. It's 5 minutes. In and out.
It's just the way you need.
Formation back outside.
Doesn't have to be romantic.
I think
In and out.
I think maybe the second thing that probably is more applicable to your situation is like most people are not going to pass away in the military. They're not going to go to war and guaranteed be shot and killed. Like, there's a vast percentage of people that I know in the service that spent 12 years in, maybe got one deployment out of it. And we were through a really high op tempo time, like through the ages of our high schools and college. So there's extreme forces and units that are meant to do the jobs overseas that they do them overseas. And then there's a lot of people that even their number just doesn't get drawn for it. Like they follow just an extremely weird, like, I guess, relocation routes and whatever for different units, different military bases. So it's not guaranteed that you're gonna go to war and you're gonna get shot and you're gonna get killed and all that stuff. So all the stuff that your grandmother threatened you with,
wouldn't be doing it.
well, I mean, and there's not most people. I mean, I don't even know what the legit numbers are. There's always the statements of like, there's 1% of America has served the military. I don't know that I believe that 100% anymore. I mean, I know a lot of people who've done service to their country. So in reality, there might be only 1% of America if you're counting people who haven't been eligible yet. I mean, we're talking school-age children. Like, it might be at that point, but it's going to keep changing and adjusting. But I think we're probably on the downswing right now for the amount of people going in. There's been a pretty heavy drawdown, so there's probably less people in the military right now than there was, say, even, I wouldn't say 2000.
I wouldn't say too much. We're pretty sure we got Russian and Polish spies listening in on this podcast.
We are
That's what I heard.
Popular
huge
there.
In Russia.
We are.
I'm huge in Asia.
Yes, you are.
We know. Batman.
Oh, that's not the context I was
Batman,
thinking.
I was going egg roll.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Girthy egg roll, man.
Girthy
Sorry.
egg rolls.
Do you have any stories of when you were deployed that you can share? Is there stuff like that you can say?
Yeah, it's not like the government has an NDA on me by any means or anything like that.
I just never know, and sometimes, some people don't want to talk about
These
that.
are just ethics questions, we're just...
I did, and I worked for some major organizations. So for all of you fans out there of me, not Brew Crew, but
Damn.
there is. Wow. So I am on an episode. I'm on an episode of.
He's part of Brew Crew, and he's even got the cup to
I
prove
know.
it, so I don't know what he's talking about.
They're probably listening because I know that I'm going to be on, right? Like that's. No, there was a War Stories with Oliver North that filmed at one of my. Cut my mic. I'm going to reach.
You can have Scott's.
I was in an episode of War Stories with Oliver North where he came over and did some filming. I was actually on the first ever MARSOC Special Operations Combined Unit in Afghanistan, so it's the Marine Special Operations Command and then the better known as Green Beret Special Forces. We're actually together on a combined unit in Azizabad, and he filmed for us for quite a while. Unfortunate part about it in that video is we had lost a service member right before he got there, and so we actually named the helipad after him. And so that's a big part of what's filmed in the beginning of that is like they kind of pan through the group of us as we're naming this helipad, and my wife sees me and I was like, man, I was there. Like I don't even know where I'm at. And she's like, that's you. I didn't recognize myself. I looked so young, so different at that time, so skinny.
Yeah, egg roll in your mouth.
Hanging
just
out
like a cigar. Yeah. Everybody in the military's got those cigars. Every leader's got the cigar.
I love it.
Jason's over there with an egg roll.
I love it when an egg roll comes together.
Like, hey,
I have a Churchill length egg roll.
Somebody's like, hey, you need a light? He's like, nah, son, this is an egg roll. Now go get me another one.
Go get me some duck sauce.
Yeah. Where's the soy sauce?
Come on now.
My plate carrier. Yeah. My plate carrier had a flip out soy sauce container.
He's got the
dink,
little,
dink.
flips it out, pulls one out, and he's like...
After his Asia deployment, they're like, we're going to need you to go to Afghanistan. And he's like, there better be a Connex refrigerated and filled with egg rolls, and I will be there.
That was at a different FOB in Afghanistan, was where was it? Yeah, but however, that's the second product you're going to flip here. We're going to, instead of cigar case,
egg roll
it's an egg roll case.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
In case of emergencies, eat egg roll.
Eat egg roll.
In case of emergency, break glass.
Break glass, eat egg roll.
Shove in mouth.
So now we have to have an episode where we eat egg rolls, and we have to have an episode where we Hulk smash some Junior Mints.
So I was asking Beth, my wife, before, like when you invited me over here, I said, what should I talk about? Like, what should I have like staged in mind?
It doesn't matter what you think.
Right? Well, but it did, because this flipped back up around. She's like, you should tell the "You Open Door Now" story. And I was like,
I love that this story has a name. That means it's a good one.
my
I like that
father-in-law.
it's missing vowels. You open,
You open door now.
Open door now.
Open door now.
You open door now. So we moved into we moved into a house after we got married, and so we're moving everything in there. A buddy of mine, who was coincidentally the one who had watched his daughter get born on FaceTime, he was helping us move in. Like, hey man, what do you want to eat? Like, I'm gonna obviously rules of somebody helping you move is you buy beer and the dinner. And the dinner. He's like, China buffet.
Now
Let's get China buffet.
Like, I'm gonna kill you some China buffet.
Getting some egg rolls delivered to the house.
And some dysentery.
Whole
So how
dysentery.
does it work? China buffet, but you have it delivered to the house?
Well, so they have a to-go menu.
But
Like, they have a
It
buffet
kind
in
of
there, but
defeats
you
the
can
purpose of a
It's a
buffet.
buffet.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
Scott's
we didn't
what
go
a waste of my money.
But we hadn't done our routine of showering yet, so we didn't get cleaned up to go to the buffet.
But you only
Taking
needed
5
5 minutes.
Well,
mean,
I didn't
you
have
guys
to
are-
do that anymore. I was
I mean,
out
you
of
guys-
I was out of basic training.
but you guys are trained.
Surely it took you a while to get out of that.
I'll
though.
take 7-minute showers all day. I'm gonna spend some extra time on the crack.
It's got bigger since
It's gotten bigger since then.
We're
Zool
gonna
knew it.
let that hang there for sure.
Ain't nothing hanging when I'm spending more time on the crack, Dr. B.
Might be.
So I order from China Buffet.
Dr. P.
So, but the house that we rented is on a dead end road, kind of up a hill, that overlooked a large, like one of those really quickly built together communities, right? So they were all houses that went up in like 3 days each.
a slump.
Yeah, it was nice houses. It just was
Hoovervilles.
it was one of those overnight neighborhoods that went up. They built 200 houses in
where all
like
these
in like
trailers come
6
from.
months, and it was no big deal. Well, so our house was definitely above in the high ground for lookout and objective. The guy, instead of taking, I don't know how he did it, because this was days before GPS was as big as it is now. Like, everybody didn't do it and like see where the blue dot was or whatever on it. He went down into that community, and my road should have continued into it. And I don't know if they named that road down below the same road that I lived on, and then there was just like a cliff in between or not. But I watched him go around, and he went to a door, and so he called our house, and my wife answers. Like, Holt and I are sitting outside, like we're just kind of hanging out, drinking some beer on the front porch of our new place, and my wife is just like screaming on the phone. I was like, what's the deal? And she was like almost in tears, like the guy on the other end of the phone, so like yelling at her. And so like I picked up the phone, I was like, hello? Like, what's the deal? And he's like, you open door now. I'm here. You open door now. And I'm like, excuse me? Like, no, I'm here. You open door now. You want China food? Like, just screaming at us. Like, I hang up. I call back to China Buffet. And I'm like, hey, man, like, I don't know where your driver's at, but he's not at our house. Like, we're literally sitting out front. There's no way that they could be in back because we're on the top of this, like, hill cliff area. There's no roads or anything back there. So I go out and I'm on my cell phone. I'm talking to them. I can see the delivery driver on the street down below me knocking on the door. The house was completely black. So I call his number back, and I'm like, he's like, you open door now, I'm here. I'm like, hey, jackass. Like, I can see you. You did not go far enough. I gave you directions to this house. And like, he turns around, and I got a flashlight, and I'm blinking the flashlight. Was it, you see that flashlight? You open door now. You see the flashlight? Yeah. I said, that's me, asshole. Like, if that's me flashing the light at you.
And then he tongued all of his egg rolls.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
But then he drives up. He drives up. Probably. Zool's over there.
Would you? Oh yeah.
He's squatching on.
Wiped them.
He's squatching on the egg rolls.
Put them in the creases and
I
walked
bet you.
over.
So
first.
watch
I'm in there for you.
home dude get back in his car,
That's sauce.
drive up the hill around it, walks up, and is the nicest man on earth when he gets out of the vehicle. He's like, "Oh, hello. You having a good night?"
Yeah, because he saw your big ass and was like, "Oh, I changed my tune.
You ordered.
I'll open door now. Sorry."
You ordered delivery from a buffet.
This
was only one way this was gonna go.
This was easily 11 years ago, and my father-in-law will still walk around their house going, "You open door now." It just like anytime somebody like he knocks on the door, he'll look at the Nest doorbell and be like, "You open door now."
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so to switch gears a little bit, I have one final question I'd like to ask for our sports fans, because we haven't got to talk sports in a while. We haven't had anyone on here, so I know we were talking about this a little bit before. I want to talk a little bit about the NBA free agency stuff that's going on right now, and really ultimately are the Knicks the laughing stock of the National Basketball Association?
Hands down.
Just based on recent events, or just in general?
So
they've always made poor decisions.
Well, they've made a lot of poor decisions since the 90s.
Yeah, they've been making a lot of poor decisions, but then they were like, okay, they tried to pick it up whenever they brought Carmelo Anthony on, I think, and then Carmelo's never really lived up to the hype, and so he didn't work out.
You can't be in a rebuilding process for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
You can't be that.
So then they finally started...
It's a job, you know?
And I'll give it to them. They finally started making some decisions. So they got... Porzingis, I think is the guy's name, was who they had, and they traded him to the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh, they had Jeremy Lin. That kid was unbelievable.
Right.
Jeremy Lin, that guy's got a crazy story. I actually saw a thing about like what happened to him and like his journey.
He's the
crazy
first
story.
Asian person to get an NBA ring, and he had to go to Canada to do it.
Man, that's true. Yeah, I mean, he never got one, even though he's probably one of the best that's ever been in the league. But no, Jeremy Lin's got a really cool story. But you talk about what happened to him, to the situation where they got rid of him, just making poor decisions. But they told that, like, listen to us. We're planning. They're planning ahead for this. What's going on right now? The biggest free agency market, where we have Kevin Durant, we have Kawhi Leonard, we had Kyrie Irving, we've got I always space on this guy's name from the Golden State Warriors, Klay Thompson.
Yep.
You just got a lot of guys that are available to be picked up, and Golden State's kind of coming to the end of their dynasty, and they had all these injuries, and then they ended up losing to Toronto. So it's like there's a lot of things shifting. Well, the Knicks are like, you know, everyone freaks out when they trade Porzingis to the Mavs, I think is who it was, and this was their big guy that they picked up. He was supposed to be this big new promising athlete, and they got rid of him, and the Knicks fans are like, what are you doing? Their whole plan was to free up all this cap space so that when Kevin Durant became available, because they knew
they could pay him the league max for it. Yeah.
The Durant essentially is... The big shot on Durant is that he left OKC when they almost beat Golden State and could have went to the finals. He left and went to that team.
Right.
Now he's won whatever it is, 2 or 3 championships there, and it's like, you went there and did that. So he wants to kind of go build his legacy on his own.
Well, I think that's it too. He wants to show people he's the best player in the league.
Well, and everyone wants to be in a big market. So New York is always, hey, that's a big market. Who doesn't want to go be there? There's all this stuff outside of what you're doing for sponsorships and for deals and for TV time. Like, that's what you want to have.
The big team for that right now is the Lakers, and I think that they're
killing it.
Yeah,
they're gonna crush it this year.
They're gonna pick up a few more.
If they pick up Kawhi, it's over. And I think they might. So I wouldn't be surprised. But basically the Knicks made all of these moves. Then their goal was, hey, we're going to be in the draft lottery this year, which I think is the 6 teams or whatever that have the worst record. They get picked. They all get put in an envelope. You mix them up. They open them up. I don't know how they do it per se, but it's like you open up each envelope, and the last team's envelope to get picked up gets the number 1 pick. Well, the Knicks were like, hey, Zion Williamson's coming into the league.
Well, they had 44% chance of it because they had more drafts or more opportunities in there than anybody for it.
So they thought they had a shot of like, hey, we're going to get this. And so they didn't. They ended up being like 4th.
Yeah.
And the New Orleans Pelicans ended up getting him. So they're like, well, we crashed and burned on that. Well, now we're putting all our money.
They started fighting for 80 at that point.
Yeah, they started fighting for Anthony Davis. They started fighting for Kyrie Irving. They started fighting for Kawhi Leonard. And they started fighting for Kevin Durant. Well, Kevin Durant in this last Golden State series popped his Achilles and had to have surgery. Well, these dum-dums, I just found out this literally just happened. I was reading on the way over here. Kevin Durant is. I don't know that this is still speculative, but they're saying he's going to the Brooklyn Nets. So is Kyrie Irving. So they're both going to the Nets. Still in New York. Mm-hmm. The freaking Knicks didn't offer Kevin Durant a max deal because they were worried about him coming back after his injury, and that's what ruined the deal for them.
Of course.
Was because they weren't willing to go max offer, and every other team's like, we don't even care if he comes back at
75%.
Yeah, like he's still better than him. He's one of the top 3 guys in the league when he's healthy.
He is the best player in the league right this season. He was the best player in the league,
and so those dum-dums who have continually been making poor decisions, everyone's going, why didn't he want to go to the Knicks? What happened? And they're like, they didn't even make him a max offer because they're worried about his Achilles. And it's like, you guys are so dumb.
In the weeds about dumb stuff.
Yep. And so they screwed it up again, and so he's not going there. So they literally this season missed out. Yeah.
That's what you got to say.
And it's they gave up one of their best players to free up cap
so
space.
Is Spike going to give up his front row seats at this point? Like he's going to be like, I'll go over to the Nets and start cheering for the Nets because I'm a Dre fan.
I mean, hey, you never know.
Or Jay-Z is. I think it's Jay-Z who owns into it.
Jay-Z, yeah.
Jay-Z owns into it.
I could see that at this point because
you can't keep committing to that team.
Listen,
right?
they had $70 million free to be able to bring on 2 to 3 max cap people in order to be like, hey, we're going to pay these guys. Yeah. We're going to bring them on. Guys, we're making the right decisions. And all the fans are like, cool, maybe we'll get Zion. Nope. That tanked.
Not everybody wants to win.
Maybe we'll get Anthony Davis. That tanked, and he went to the Lakers. Maybe we won't get Kevin Durant. Well, maybe we won't make him the offer that he deserves, and we'll screw that up anyway.
Yeah, that was, like I said, they have been consistently that team.
A dumpster fire.
Yes, hot dumpster fire.
White hot.
White hot, for sure.
Like, that's what people are keeping their hands warm with on the streets out there. It's the Nets jerseys.
I got one more follow-up just as a quick answer. We don't have to get too deep into it. We can go into it later. Who's the greatest of all time in the NBA? This is always a hot topic. I would love to I love seeing generationally who picks who, if you're even into it, who's considered the GOAT.
I mean, I grew up with watching Jordan. I'm a Jordan guy. I grew up watching Jordan. I feel like he was never intentionally meant to be the best guy. He became that. LeBron was. Olajuwon was. Those guys all came into it.
There's a lot of guys in the...
the Michael Jordan was drafted 5th?
Look, man, it's pretty simple. Mm-hmm. It's Jordan.
Yeah.
Everyone is comparing themselves
to Jordan.
So if you have to compare yourself against somebody, that somebody's got to be...
Right.
And so the 2 factors I think that come in and listen, I get it sucks, and you look at LeBron James and his numbers because LeBron is the guy that always gets brought up.
He plays a different position. He plays a different era.
He does, and it's a completely different era. And I think the thing is Michael Jordan, every time he went to the finals, he won. He's a perfect 6-6. In my opinion, I think Michael also. I was kind of in between both of those. I grew up watching Michael, but then also was around when LeBron came around and this phenom out of nowhere. I remember seeing him in high school and all this craziness. But I think the biggest difference is what everyone calls the clutch gene. When it comes down to it at the end of the game, who's the guy you want taking the shot? LeBron is not always that guy of I'm going to be the one doing it. Michael Jordan is the dude that's y'all give me the ball and get out of my way.
And see the thing, because LeBron's going to drive and he's going to look for the foul, and Michael's going to do a fade back jump, and he's going to hit a 3. The question, I mean, it's the same thing if you talk pitching, right? You take Bambino back in the day, you take Babe Ruth when he was pitching after he stopped playing outfield, he was pitching every day, and they were playing 86 games a season because they had to have 4 days drive in between places. So he could pitch over and over and over. That can't happen now. Mm-hmm. You can't have
different game.
You can't have Verlander pitching 90% of games in your season. So it's not a comparable stat.
You don't know how much drugs they were doing back then either.
Well,
I mean, you could ask
I'm sure it was
Wire and all these guys all day long. Right.
Oh yeah.
Who the hell knows what was
steroid
going on?
age?
Well, yeah. I mean, so that's taking the 90s into effect. But let's just look at now. I mean, what was the first inning score? I mean, granted, we're playing in London. We're playing in a soccer field or a cricket field or whatever. There was the first inning was 12-7 with 6 dingers in the Red Sox Yankees game.
Aaron Hicks got the first home run in London.
Right? Like this era is about speed. And so Beth and I play softball. I actually was talking about this the other day. I would never put a girl this day of age at third or shortstop or even pitch in softball because the bats have gotten so
What if she
legit.
could lift 50 pounds?
It doesn't matter. Like I get it.
What if she could eat 2 egg rolls at the same time?
I get it. There are some legit women out there, but man, that ball comes off. I'll play third. I'll play short out there. That ball comes off that bat so hard, so fast that, especially if there's you're playing in
somebody out.
Dangerous.
Balls on faces, real quick.
Well, and that's one of the things that hasn't evolved. Like we've evolved everything in baseball. We've evolved speed in pitching. We've adjusted the height of the mounds. You're lightening the bat. That's the reason why Major League's always played wood bats. It's supposed to not be as hard and as dangerous as the aluminum bats that I think the NCAA at some point is going to have to go away from. Those kids are hitting massive bombs with those bats. Like you're swinging those metal bats out there that double core, triple core walls in it. That pop that's coming off that ball is deadly to some of these kids at some point. So we're going to have to get to the point where high schoolers are the last era of metal bats, I think.
All right, Scott, I'll let you get prepared. I'll give you a moment here. Jason.
I'm ready.
I need a dad joke.
You got anything you want to hit us with before we leave? Any plugs, anything like that?
No, I said it last time. I'm pretty boring, even on social media.
I might need a backup. You guys are kind of smart.
Oh, my gosh. He needs a backup.
Even when I was listening to the last one, Beth was around, and she heard it, and I think she was trying to take a nap, kind of like laying on the other side of the room. And she's like, "That was a really bad dad joke."
There we go.
So you better work it.
All right. What is the difference between a hippo and a zippo?
I know this one. I won't ruin it for you.
Thank you. One is kind of heavy, and the other is a little lighter.
Which one's which?
I'm Dr. Brandon Brown, and I approve this message. Which one's?
Phenomena. Phenomena. Phenomena.